What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the case cannot open by placing a rubber band all the way around it. See? I know this is the gingerly difficult way to do it, but it is the only secure way to make sure that the flap does not open in any way. See? I'm going to go further. I'm going to give you a rubber band.
I like rubber bands.
I want you to open that rubber band and then place it around both my hand and the cards and let go. Ow! Now, do the same thing with this one. Somewhere else, down here maybe. Okay, I'm getting used to it now. You're going to have to do better than that. Okay? Yep.
Now if I break the rubber band, we have more?
Yep, that's good. It's only around a couple of fingers, so that finger could get away. But that's the idea. Yes? One card trapped in the center of the deck, sealed in the case, trapped on my hand. Name your card.
Name it?
Out loud.
10 of clubs. That's my card.
Take off all the rubber bands and the card box. Make sure everything is sealed inside. There it is, the 10 of clubs. Yes. Now, all right, this is a quick, cute little card trick. It's kind of a nice opener for a set of card tricks. Basically, you're going to have somebody select a card, and then you're going to control it. And you can use any method that you want to control the card. I'll give you a simple option, really nothing to it. So somebody selects a card. Let's just say it's the ace of diamonds in this case. And all you're going to do is when you get the card back, you're going to hold a little break like this. And then you're going to cut some of the cards above the break to the table, the rest of the cards above the break to the table, and then all of the deck to the table. That brings their card to the top of the deck, but it sort of looks like you're just mixing the cards up. So that's it's known as a double undercut, but to the table. Real double undercut takes a little bit more work, and later on we're going to get into some more sleight of hand with cards, and we'll explain more complicated ways to do it. But that's a pretty easy way. So they return their card. You just hold that break and cut some of the cards above the break, cut to the break, cut the rest of the cards. That brings their card to the top, and they don't know it. The idea is to do that quickly and then put the cards into the box. So they think their card is lost and somewhere in the middle of the deck. Now as you close the box, you give a little squeeze like this. That causes the cards to bend up so that you can put the flap underneath the topmost card as you close the box. And then if you pull that card up just a little bit like this, that sort of helps to loosen it away from the other cards, gets it a little bit past that sticky point right there where it kind of hits against the top flap. So you pull the card out just a little bit, but nobody sees that. All right? The deck should be held like this. You're now going to need some rubber bands. And what you're going to do is you're going to rubber band the deck so that the card is trapped inside. You can't go around the way that you would normally go around, though, because that would actually trap the card inside. So what you do is you go lengthwise around the box like this. That still leaves the card here where it can get out. And then, after you rubber band around that way, then you take another rubber band and wrap it around the deck this way, which doesn't do a thing, but it looks good. And then you place the deck on your hand like this so that your middle finger is right at that half moon cutout, right behind the selected card, and you wrap a rubber band around the deck and your hand. Now that allows your hand to be completely free where you don't have to support the deck of cards. But what you're doing is you're pressing your middle finger against that card from behind at the half moon cutout, and you're sliding it out very slowly like this. So it's pretty easy to make that card appear, and you do that as you wave your hand like that. You just push it right out, and then bring your other hand over and take it away, and then you can take the whole thing off and show that the rest of the cards are still trapped inside the card case. Pretty easy to do. Now, back in Tarbell's day, they wrapped it around their hand using a handkerchief. You borrow a handkerchief from somebody and do it, but of course, can't really do that anymore. Nobody carries handkerchiefs around, but it is possible to just have a few rubber bands with you. If you do any rubber band tricks, and why don't you? This is one that you can add in with your cards and use both things together. Have fun with it. Jacob, just examine them. You actually know a few things about cards. You know whether there's anything special in there. You can feel if there's something unusual or if the cards are marked. You can check it. You know how to check to see if the cards are marked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. That's right. Most of you don't know this. If you look at a back of a deck of cards and you riffle through it, kind of like a flip book, you could see something animate, something change if there's a mark, because the marks would all be different for each of the cards, right? Not anything special about them? As far as you can tell, nothing. Now, you also know, because I know this about you, you know that magicians can influence people into selecting particular cards. I'm not going to do that. Instead, you're going to take any card from anywhere that you want. Anyone at all. Just take one out. Any card you want. Oh, definitely don't let me see it. As a matter of fact, slip it face down inside the card box while I have my back turned. Close the flaps of the box, the two ears first, and then the big flap, so that your card is trapped, sealed inside the box, hidden. Now, did you show it to anybody else?
No.
Good. You may be seated. Let's give Jacob a big round of applause. All right. Now, if it were possible for me to run through this deck of cards and to look at every single card and see which one was missing, that would be impressive, right? That would be damn impressive. I can't do that. Instead, I'm going to take out a couple of cards, a pair of something. Now, I don't know what you selected, so I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to say that you didn't select a face card. Is that true? Is it? It's okay. If you selected a...
Yes.
Did you select a face card?
No.
No, okay. So he did not select a face card. So I can use a pair of jacks, a pair of queens, a pair of kings. I can use a couple of face cards for this. Kristen, what should I use?
Queens.
Queens, a pair of queens. Do you want the red ones or the black ones?
Black ones.
The black ones, okay? All right, look, when you see the black queen go by, you just let me know. Just let me know. When you see the black queen go, there's no black queens in there. No, there's one.
Oh, there's one.
Right? That's okay. And then when you see the queen of spades, that'll be the next one. Queen of, there it is. All right. Take those two queens out. Fantastic. That's perfect. That's exactly what we were hoping for. Okay. Now, hand me either one of them. It doesn't matter which one it is. Which one do you want to hand me? It doesn't matter. Which one? Queen of clubs. That's the first one. Okay. Did you examine the queen of clubs to make sure that it is just a single card? Nothing special about it?
No, nothing special. No.
Are you sure?
It's a regular card.
Okay, you may not trust me later. Yes? Yes, you want to check it again?
I see it. It's a regular card.
Oh, lovely. All right, fantastic. Okay, great. And then also examine the, you have Queen of Spades. So Queen of Spades, and make sure that's a normal card as well. I'm going to leave the Queen of Clubs here. Okay? And you have which one?
Queen of Spades.
Queen of Spades. Fantastic. All I have to do is this. You've got a card trapped in that box. Yes? All I have to do is rub one of the queens on the other one, like this. It's not really rubbing, it's sort of poking. It's all right. Sometimes that happens. You get what you can get, you know. And then the weirdest thing happens. Now, you haven't taken your eyes off of either one of these queens, yes? Check this out. Look. The Queen of Clubs has changed into a two of hearts. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah? Is that cool? You're not impressed. It's a heart.
I mean, I saw that.
Okay, wait. I'll take the Queen of Spades and I'll poke, 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 and it changes into a five of clubs. And you're still not impressed. That's a heart, and this is a five. Keith, you're way ahead of all the rest of us here in the class. Look, if you put those together, that's a five, that's a heart, you get the five of hearts. What's been trapped in the box the whole time that nobody except Jacob has looked at. There's one card still trapped in there. If that's the five of hearts, well, you got a lot of explaining to do. Okay, so this is how we do this. You're going to need a deck of cards and a specially prepared card box. It's pretty easy to prepare it. Basically, I've cut a little window right down here at the bottom of it. If you take any card and place it into the card box, you can see the pip of the card through the window. So both the suit and value of the card is visible. That's your preparation for this thing. Now, in addition to that, you are going to need to take out a pair of cards. It's your choice what cards you use. I like to take out a pair of queens, so I'm just going to take out the black queens because I see them the quickest. I like to take them out before the effect happens because that way I don't have to worry about, finding the right cards while the effect's going on. So I just take them out and I give them to somebody to hold on to them. Now, I don't want somebody to choose a card that is similar to the queens. It'd be better if they can choose something that's a lot different. So if I see that there are a lot of face cards, or a lot of black face cards in particular, because I'm using the black face cards here, in a particular area, I will also separate those cards away from the center of the deck when I pick the deck up. So now I'm basically leaving a large range of cards to choose from that don't match those at all. Now, the card that they choose is a free choice, so I just say just reach and take any card. So it's possible. I mean, they could pick a card that matches those, that's similar in some way. I'm not going to control that choice in any way. Instead, I'm going to tell them to take out a card and place it into the card box. Now, I like to make it as easy as possible for them to put it into the card box. And I say face down into the card box. If you're worried about your spectator picking the box up, all you have to do is place your hand on it like this and say, just place it into the box while my head is turned. And you just keep your fingers on it. And then, when they put a card in, they look at the card. Oh, sometimes I like to do it where they don't look at the card. That's actually the best way to do this, where nobody knows what that card is. So I say, take a card out, face down, and put it into the box without looking at it. They take the card and they put it into the box, like that, while my finger's on it, like this. And I say, just close the box up. Just, here, close the flaps, right? And close this part of the box so that nobody knows what card is in there. Now you pick up the rest of the cards, and at this point, you have absolutely no idea what card is in that box. Now, there's two ways to approach this. Method number one is the easiest method of all, and that's this. You're going to pick up the box, and you're going to say, no one can see what card is in that box. Now, as you do that, you're actually looking at the card right here. See? So there's the card right down there. So no one can see what card is in this box. And then you continue to turn it over, and you show the box is solid and can't be seen. And I just use those two fingers to cover it up. No one can see what card is in this box. I look at it, and I show that it's solid, and I put it right back down. And yet, those two queens are going to tell us what it is. Now, that's method number one. Method number two is the way that I approach it. I use something kind of special. You see, I do have this special table that I've built, and since I'm doing it on a platform, since I'm doing it stand-up, I've put a couple of mirrors, very small mirrors right here, and one right back here. So in two different places. So in this case, when I move the box to the edge of the table like this, that opening will be over the edge of the table. So I move the box like that, the opening is there. As I walk away from the table, I can look into the mirror and I can see the reflection of that card in the box. So it's pretty sneaky because they put their card in the box while it's face down. I move it over here like that, and I say I won't touch the box at all. I'm going to leave it right there. I now see what card is in the box without having to look into it. So you can use a shiner. Now, you don't have to use a fancy table like this. You could have a tiny mirror concealed in your hand right there, and you'd be able to see the reflection of it right up to that corner. Of course, the other way is the easy way that I showed you before, but I like to, I like to complicate the method because then the spectator can't tell what's going on. All right, at this point, we all know what the card is. In this case, it's the 9 of spades. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look through the cards like this, and the very first 9 that I get, I'm going to separate the deck at that point. It doesn't matter what 9 it is. I'm going to separate it at that point. I'm going to put those cards down. Now I'm just going to take about half of the cards until I find a spade. Whatever spade it is, I put those down. The remaining cards go underneath the first pile. All that matters is I have a 9 on top of one pile and a spade on top of the other pile, because I know that the 9 of spades is in the box. So whatever that card is, I match the number here and the value there, just by running through the cards. And my explanation to the audience is that I'm just separating the deck into 2 piles because I have 2 queens to work with. So I pick up the pile that has the 9 on it. I ask for one of the queens back. And then, as I say, there's nothing special about this queen. I'm going to be performing a top change. Okay? A top change is actually a pretty difficult sleight to pull off smoothly. It looks like this. And it's going to look like I've done absolutely nothing but pass one hand in front of this card, and this card changes to another card. So as I say something to that spectator, I just gesture, and this card is exchanged for the top card. Honestly, we're going to get into card sleights a little bit later, so I'm going to save explaining the top change until a little bit later. Instead, I'm going to show you an alternate version of this thing. So I would normally top change the card, and then I would get the other queen and I would top change it for the other card. Instead, what I'm going to show you is this. Here's a really easy way to do it. Once you get those 2 cards to the top of each of those piles, just shuffle the piles by running off the top card first to the bottom of the pile. Now don't do it with the audience looking at it. You've got it to the top of the pile. Just shuffle that pile, so that now the bottom card is the card that you set up. Same thing over here, just shuffle these. And now the bottom card is the card that you've set up. So there's a 9 here and there's a spade there. Then just take the 2 queens back and show them. Place them face down on the table. Put the 2 piles on top of them. When you pick up one of the piles, you can show that the queen is right here on the bottom of it. It's going to look like you take the queen off of the bottom and place it onto the table in front of yourself like that. And as a matter of fact, when I employ this move, I like to do it for real like this. I often just take the card and place it into a spectator's hand, and then I have them show everybody that it is the queen before I do it again. The second time I do it, I'm going to do something called the glide. We'll also talk about the glide later, but it's one of those really easy moves to get away with. And here's why. What's going to happen this time is it's going to look like I take the queen off of the bottom, but I actually take the second card from the face of the deck. You see, the queen's been pulled back. That's what the glide does. The move exposed looks like this. It's that simple. All you're doing is you're taking all of these fingers that you have available here. You're just holding the packet between your thumb and your index finger. You're taking all of these fingers that touch the face and just pulling that card back a little bit to leave a little bit of it exposed here where you can get the next card. So that's all done in the action of turning your hand down. So that motion of turning your hand down hides the fact that these fingers are squeezing that card back. That's it. So practice that over and over again. Pull the card back so that you can get to the second card from the face of the deck, just like this. And it just meets these fingers and you toss it down. You can now immediately shuffle the cards that are in your hand, and that hides the fact that that card is still there. So it looks like you've placed the queen down, but you haven't. Same thing's going to happen over here. You show the queen, you apparently place it onto the table, performing the glide and shuffling this packet and placing those aside. Now when you turn the 2 queens over, they've changed to 2 different cards, and you say a 9 and a spade. That equals the 9 of spades. Let's see what card you put in the box. The 9 of spades. And that's how you do it. Shuffle those up. Yeah. Now, this is going to get a little weirder. A little bit weirder. I want you to spread them out face down on the table. Wow, that was nice. Yeah, well, that was pretty good. I'm going to spread them out a little bit more because I'm looking for a particular card. But you might notice I'm looking at the backs.
Yeah.
That's it. This card belongs to the future, and it goes in my pocket. One card in my pocket. will you make sure that there's only one card in my pocket? Don't take it out, just feel around a little bit. Yes?
There's only one card.
Okay, good, good. Just the one that I put in there,
Just
yes?
the one, yeah.
If I took the card out, I'd have an empty pocket. Check. Take your time.
Yeah, nothing.
Very nice. Here, look. Will you push the card back in for me? She does respond well. It's good. That's very good.
I taught her well.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Okay, now, I have one card. Now, that card belongs to the future, and I don't expect you to understand that. But you will in a moment. I want you to take out a bunch of cards. A bunch of cards. Not all the cards, but a bunch of cards. Now, I don't know what you think a bunch is, but I think a bunch is more than 10 cards, less than 30 cards, and that gives you quite a range. So take out a bunch of cards. Yeah, good, good.
Yeah.
You want them from different places, any more?
No, well, I'm just taking.
A bunch, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, just mix those up. Okay, don't let me see any of those cards. Whatever you do. Good? Whatever you do, don't let me see any of those cards. Okay. Can you remember two things at the same time? I know for me, if it gets over three things, I have to make a list.
Yes.
But two things I'm usually okay with. 2, 3 things, basically okay with. I'm going to ask you to remember a number and also a card. And it's going to be one of these. Now, that's a lot. Do you want to use less than that, fewer than that?
Actually, well, maybe less.
Less? Take some away then. We don't need to use them all. Put them over there. That's cool. Okay, great. So is this good?
Yes. That's
No, we don't know how many there are there, and you determined how many and in what order those cards would be.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to show everybody. Those are the cards. Okay? The Kristen has a choice of these cards. And you're going to remember one of these cards. Okay. You can think of that card right now, and I'm going to turn away so I don't see which one you're looking at.
Okay.
But just think of one.
Okay.
You got one in mind?
Yes.
Now, here's the hard part. I'm going to count the cards, and I want you to remember both the number that your card falls at and your card. You get it? So it'll be in a position. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. That's almost a quarter of the deck. There are 12 cards there. Should I count them again so that you can see what number your card's at? I will.
Actually, yeah. Go ahead, double check.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Make sure I don't change the order of the cards. Good?
Yep.
And check this out. The card in your mind has physically vanished. It was never really there to begin with. I know you don't believe me. So just tell me where it was, the position, the number that your card was.
It was the 7th one in line.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now don't look at it yet. I know, everybody wants to look at it, but they might think that I'm doing something sneaky, like maybe I'm hiding it or something like that. So look at these cards, and is your card here?
No.
Your card's not here, right?
Right.
So it must be that card. Yes? That's not your card. Look at it. But there is one card and only one card that I placed in my pocket before we started. You know that. The
Yes.
card from the future. And it's impossible, improbable, unbelievable. It's enough to drive a person insane.
Oh, God.
There's no way this could be the card that you just saw a moment ago. What card are you thinking of?
Ace of Hearts.
Just like I said, it couldn't possibly be that card. But it is. This is a great trick. It's a really, really great impromptu trick. You can do it with anybody's deck of cards and absolutely fool them with it. I've changed it around just a little bit to make it a little bit more deceptive than what's in the book. And also the difficult part here is to decide what the effect really is But I wouldn't worry about that too much because it really is a very, very amazing effect for the spectators, no matter how they perceive it. And basically what happens is you're going to take any card from anywhere at all and place it into your pocket. So first you want to make sure that your pocket's empty. You can show that your pocket really is empty. There's nothing in there. You just randomly take a card without looking at it. You place it into your pocket, and that's where you leave it. Then you have them cut a few cards off the top of the deck. So they cut off a few cards. About a quarter of the deck is all you need. Doesn't matter as long as there's a few cards there to count. Now you're going to spread those out and apparently show all the cards. But what you've actually done is you've secretly taken the top card and slipped it behind. I'm going to show you how to do that from the exposed view. So what's happening is I'm going to spread these cards out like this, and I'm going to take the top card and leave it underneath like that. Now, from the front, it just looks like I'm spreading the cards out to display them. So I have one extra card hidden behind the fan. Now I'm going to count the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 cards. It's a good number to work with, 10 cards. Now, you're going to ask somebody to think of any card, and then as you count the cards again, they should remember the number, the position of their card. Since we have the ace of spades here, let's use that one. That's an easy one to remember. So they're thinking of the ace of spades, and then as you count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down, they're now going to think of the ace of spades and the number 3. And then you close up the fan. Now, of course, when you close up the fan, that automatically adds an extra card at the top above whatever card they're thinking of. And no matter where it is, it'll always be one card more than it was. That extra card adds one card no matter what position they're thinking of. The only thing is, if they are thinking of the 9th or 10th position, the lower positions, you'll have to count by transferring cards one at a time from the top to the bottom. But otherwise, you can just deal the cards down. In this example, they're thinking of the number 3. So you just deal 1, 2, 3 cards down. Now at this point, that should be their card, but it's not. Their card's actually over here. Okay? So they don't know that you have their card over here. They think their card is there. You say, your card has disappeared. It's gone. You know? It's traveled in time. They can look at this card. They can look at all of these cards. You can pick up all of those cards and put them underneath, turn the whole thing over, and spread the remaining cards, and they can look at all of those. Their card is not there. The reason it's not there is because you're doing the same thing you did before. You're slipping it behind the fan. So whatever card they chose, you just keep it behind the fan. They look at all of these cards, and none of them are theirs. Now, because they don't believe that their card is here, it makes palming easy. Now, I know you haven't learned palming yet, but you're going to palm their card after you close these up. All you're going to do is say, remember that card I put in my pocket? And as they look at your pocket, you're just going to deal their card into your hand and then square the other cards like this. It's really easy misdirection. You say, remember that card I put in my pocket? Well, I put that card there before you even thought of a card, but I think you'll recognize it. So now, with that card palmed, all you do is grab the rest of the cards and immediately put your hand into your pocket and bring out the card that was palmed, leaving the other card behind in your pocket, and they think it's the one that you put there at the very beginning. That's a great trick. I had Kristen think of a card among 12, among a dozen cards, but there are 52 cards in the deck.
No, actually there's 54 because the Jokers.
Because of the Jokers, you're absolutely correct, okay? And we still have the Jokers in this deck. But I'm going to have you just think of any card that you want. I mean, you could think of a 4 of clubs if you want. You'll see it. I'll let you see it, okay? Obviously, you could think of a 7 of spades. You could think of a 6 of clubs, a 9 of hearts, on and on and on. All the cards are there, okay? Any card would be just as good as any other card. I'm going to give them a quick shuffle. Okay.
Quicker than I am.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, wasn't it? I always forget about that up close. And you were right. There are Jokers, which I'm going to take out of the deck.
You're not good enough for you?
You're not allowed to think of the Jokers.
Okay.
Okay? But you can think of any card in the entire deck, and it's there. You can either look to make sure it's there, or you can think first and then double check that it's there. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make your card with the red back jump into the blue case. See, just like I made her card appear in my pocket in the future, I can make a card that's just in your mind jump into that card case right there. Yeah. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
No.
Right? But everybody should watch this closely because, it's unbelievable. Now, you have a card in your mind?
Yep. I've been thinking for about a minute now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I really want this card.
You got a good one, right?
Yeah, I do.
There's no way I could know what it is. Really no way. The only way I could get the card that you're thinking of to travel into the blue case would be to make
To put it in there yourself.
all of the cards change places. That's only half of it. I haven't touched the blue cards. Well, I haven't touched the case. I did touch the blue cards. Take the blue case out yourself, open it up, remove the red deck, and I'm 100% sure that your card is in there. Just double check to make sure that all the cards are red backed and your card is among them. Yes? Yeah? Yeah? Is it there? Yeah. Let's give Keith a big round of applause. I don't even need to know what it is. I don't even need to know what it is. So this is a presentation for using the Hindu color-changing deck, which is actually a pretty simple thing to do, but I have made it a little bit bigger to perform on a platform or on a stage. Now, you could certainly do this close up, and you can do it with just a single deck, but let me just show you the way that I've done it here. For the presentation I'm doing, you're going to need 3 decks of cards. You need a blue deck of cards and 2 red decks. Now, one of these red decks, you're going to leave the jokers in it. So that's this one here. And you're going to have 2 decks of cards in play that the audience knows about. First thing you need to do is to take the blue case and put a red deck into the blue box. Now, I put these on display in glasses. So I have the blue case, that's actually the red deck in the blue case in a glass. Then I also have a red deck, this one, minus the jokers in the red box. So if you are following along, you've got 2 red decks in play. One of them is in the wrong colored box. Now, the blue deck, you take the 2 red jokers and you just place them on top. And that's your setup. Now, this deck of cards has to be somewhere where you can switch it in a little bit later. For my purposes, I use the table here that I've shown you before, so I just have it back here on the little ledge where it's hidden from the audience's view. These 2 I have on display further up stage, and we're ready to start. Now, what you don't see in the performance that you just saw is at the opening of the show, I explain that I have 2 decks of cards, and I give the audience a choice between the red deck and the blue deck. Now, this is a little equivocal choice. If they say they want the red deck, then I just start using it and I set the blue one aside, because that's the prepared one. If they say they want the blue deck, I just set it aside and I say, great, that's going to be your deck of cards. You're going to keep an eye on it the whole time. And that just sits right back there. Now, I just perform some stuff with the red deck of cards. Whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter what tricks you do, just as long as you show the whole time that you're working with a red deck of cards. It's really that simple. And then, at an opportune moment, you're going to switch this red deck for the blue deck that has the 2 red jokers on the back of it. So you're obviously not going to show that these cards are all blue. You're just going to switch it, and then you're ready to perform the Hindu color-changing deck with this one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to run through and I'm going to show some cards that the person could think of or name. And as I'm talking about these cards, I'm just showing the back of the deck. Now, they already assume that it's a red deck of cards, so you don't have to make a big deal out of this. As a matter of fact, you don't want to do it like this. You don't want to show, look, they're red-backed cards. No, that is not the right way to go about this. Instead, all you do is you say you could think of an ace of diamonds, and my attention is over here, and I just happen to be showing the back of the deck. And you only have to show that a couple of times just to prove what they already believe is true, that these cards are red. At that point, you can sandwich the jokers in the center, give the deck a quick shuffle, spread the cards out and say, we're going to do this without the jokers. And now you're going to look through for the jokers, and you're going to take them out. And as you take them out, again, you're just going to show that they've got red-backed, red back on them, but you're not going to make a big deal out of it. You just set the jokers aside. Now you say, whatever card you name, I'm going to make that card appear in the blue deck, just like you saw in the performance. Now at this point, all of your work is done. What you have in front of you is entirely a blue deck of cards, and what's in that case back there is entirely a red deck of cards. So as soon as they name the card that they want, then you say, the only way, well actually they're just thinking of it, so they don't name it. So you say, the only way that I could get your card over there without knowing what it is if I make both decks switch places, and that would mean that this becomes the blue deck, and then we walk all the way over here, we take this one out, and we show that this is now the red deck, and obviously, whatever card they're thinking of has somehow ended up inside the blue box. That's the way I like to do it. It's really pretty simple.